Tech Tales 22, Take 2. Today is May 6, 2021. Recording this, it'll go public tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Take 2 because I had to do some preparation before starting this Tech Tales to make sure I don't reveal sensitive information. And as I was going along, I discovered, whoops, I am revealing sensitive information. So this is Take 2. I'm talking, this whole episode will be about this one time slip, not really the time slip, but this client. This time slip is kind of insignificant, but this is the first time I think I've spoken about this client in Tech Tales. This client is a large nonprofit organization, and I work for the Fresno division on kind of a special homegrown application, you might say. And I'm going to get into the details of that, and that's what I want to talk about. But this particular time slip on Wednesday of last week, from 9:02 a.m. to 9:26 a.m., my contact for this time slip was by the letter T. Her name starts with a T. Fixed QBDataBridge for D computer for Fresno data by enabling developer mode in Excel. I could have handled this in a 5-minute phone call, but didn't realize what the issue was. T had sent me an email the day before. It's kind of an urgent issue for them because they have a deadline the next day. Well, no, on Friday. So the service call was on Wednesday. The email was on Tuesday. So they manage money for their clients who have been somehow deemed unable to manage their own money. They're typically people that are living fairly financially disadvantaged lives. Many of their clients are homeless. And for whatever reason, their clients have been deemed unable to manage their own funds. I think a lot of them, this nonprofit pays their bills for them and essentially gives them a cash allowance. And they came to me, they were referred to me by another client of mine over a decade ago. We'll see that time when that occurred in a few minutes here. So I had to do a little preparation to make sure I don't reveal sensitive information. This piece about enabling developer mode, they have an MSP who manages their computers for them. I don't actually manage their whole computer system. I only work for them on this particular project. The MSP just installed a new server. I provided them some license codes, some instructions, how to install my piece of this, and they were successful except on one of the workstations. They couldn't figure out how to enable developer mode. It's a fairly simple thing to do. The technician involved, I'm sure, was familiar with Microsoft Office and Excel, but just not this developer mode. My understanding is he spent quite a significant amount of time trying to fix it. When I got there and they showed me the problem, I realized what was going on. I searched my notes for developer mode, found my step-by-step instructions, just a few menu clicks, and solved that. But because my time, it starts when I arrive, ends when I leave, it involved a little bit more than just that fix. So I'm going to take you over to Microsoft OneNote for this client, and I'm going to try not to expose sensitive information this time. Let's see if I float the mouse up here. Yeah, that reveals sensitive stuff. Okay, so here we go. Here's Microsoft OneNote. On that left-hand column, I'm not going to float my mouse all the way over there to the left-hand column because that exposes sensitive information. Each one of those lines is a separate client. And I'm highlighting this one to the left of my mouse arrow right now. This is the client that we're looking at right now. So up at the top, I'm not going to float the mouse over those tabs because that also reveals sensitive information. But each of those tabs are section headings, and I put in those areas things that are relevant to those titles. And those are my default section tabs that I determined. Some of these section tabs for this client are empty because I don't manage their computers. I don't manage their internet. I don't manage their printers. But I do manage problems for them. There is some information in computers because I have notes there about their individual computers. And this company tab has some content, and software tab has some content. The software tab typically for my other clients would have a wider range of content. Let's see, I'm going to make sure if I flip the mouse over these on the right hand side, no, they don't reveal anything. So all of these pages in the software section, I'll scroll down here, they all have to do with this QBDataBridge. The QBDataBridge involves IIF Transaction Creator and PDF2XL and a bunch of stuff about QBDataBridge names here and QuickBooks and Terminal Server and their bank and QuickBooks Data Bridge again. So all of this has to do with QBDataBridge, QB for QuickBooks. Data Bridge because this bridges the data from the bank into QuickBooks. So this section I'm on right now is, or this page I'm on is IIF Transaction Creator. Let's see, Intuit Information Format, something like that is what IIF stands for. IIF Transaction Creator specifically for bringing data into QuickBooks from an Excel worksheet. So this is obsolete notes less than or before July 21st, 2008. This is when I was starting this project with them. And I know there's a few first names in here and I already looked over those and decided that that's okay. I'll leave those in here. So this was back in 2008 that I started this operation with them. This $69 was for the IIF Transaction Creator. And I was guesstimating 10 to 20 hours of my time to set up this process. So what was happening is on the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month, and also the 3rd of the month, they'd be expecting a huge deposit of funds into their bank account, and there would be hundreds of sub-deposits or hundreds of their clients that these funds are allocated for. And they would have 3 staff members in their office come into the office between 4 or 5 in the morning to do the data entry. They'd look at the PDF files and manually enter the specific dollar amounts for each of their clients on a separate line entry within QuickBooks. So that by 10 a.m., they could be ready for the flood of their clients that were coming in wanting their money. So they were spending 4, 5, 6 hours on each of these dates, having 3 people do all of this work. And this QBDataBridge that I prepared for them cut that down to where now they have 3 people spend about 10 to 15 minutes each in order to bring all this data into QuickBooks. So they don't even come in early anymore. They can handle it by coming in at a normal 8 a.m. start time. So this has been going on since 2008. Let's see, somebody I saw in here something, they want this in place by August 1st. So it actually started somewhere around June or so, and then by August 1st, getting 2 deposit batches on one day because of August 3rd on a Sunday. So I mentioned the 3rd and the 1st, so depending upon how the month falls, in this case they were getting both the 1st and the 3rd on the same day. Then, so that's how long this has been going. Over here, there's IIF transaction creator. There's a bunch of subheadings. Each one of these pages has a scroll bar. Here's the scroll box here. I'm not going to scroll up or down on this because there's sensitive information all over the place. And on these other pages, there's sensitive information all over the place. But judging by the title of these is what I figured I'd kind of give you an idea about this project. PDF2XL Cogniview converter. This was a converter that would take the data in the PDF files that they received from the bank and convert it to Excel. And I think that one I'm not sure that's the one yeah, I think it probably is. There was a couple different softwares that could do this task that I looked at. And I think that's the one we went with. And then PDF Excel Converter Blue Label. Oh yeah, this was the competitor. So I think we wound up going with this one. There's some QuickBooks upgrades, notes, QBDataBridge for a new user, for a new server. These are all my original instructions to myself, how to deal with these situations as we come across them. There's something about an address problem. There's bank export stuff, export list, request, formula breakdown. We're going to go look at that one in a minute. There's anomalies, there's QuickBooks, data import history, different versions of QuickBooks. This office, every year, they would get the new version of QuickBooks, and sometimes that caused issues. So when January, February comes around, whenever, it seemed like that was around the time they would get the new QuickBooks, there'd be work for me to do. And then also just rolling over to the new year. For a while, I was having to deal with that every year, but then I found a way to automate that so they don't even have to call me for the new year. They don't have to call me anymore for the new QuickBooks version. When they get the new version, they test it. And if there's a problem with the test, then they call me. Now, back in the beginning of this, they got the PDF the afternoon before the deposit, so they didn't have much time for testing. We didn't even have a test. It was just the next morning they would come in and that's live. So I would set an alarm for myself at 5 a.m. on the day that they were going to do the processing for the 1st and the 3rd and the 15th. I'm on call. That really doesn't happen anymore because now through some transitions and changes in the system, they've actually changed to a different bank. They get the data a few days before the date that processing has to be done. So they now have learned by bad experiences. They have learned when they get that new data, they test it. When they first started getting that new data, they weren't testing it right away because it was working. And then when it didn't work, they realized, okay, we better test as soon as we get the data so that if there's a problem, we can call Doug, he can come in, nobody's got a fire under their chair. So let's see, coming back to here, QuickBooks memorized transaction problem, terminal server defaults. I should mention that. This was a complication because the MSP that manages their computers, these aren't computers at each of their desks. These are dumb workstations, thin clients that connect to a Windows server. That Windows server is a big, powerful computer that runs the Windows Server operating system, but it launches 2 virtual servers in that one box. So these thin clients, when they log in, they might get assigned to either of those 2 virtual Windows Server installations that are running on one real Windows Server box. That was my first exposure to that. Fortunately, I didn't have to administer it, but I did have to get into the administration consoles on the base real server and each of the two virtual servers to make some adjustments under the guidance of the MSP that was involved. Then coming back here, so Wells Fargo came up with a new format in 2014 and 2015, so I had to make adjustments. QBDataBridge PDF2XL, parse procedures, import failure, name conversions, CVCB transition. This was a different bank, so they went from Wells Fargo to a bank that goes by the acronym CVCB. So that was a whole redesign of the system. And also when they would upgrade to new versions of Microsoft Office, which they would always upgrade because they're under the umbrella or the control of the MSP. Then disable WFB after the conversion from one bank to the other was done. I had to disable the Wells Fargo bank portion of the processing. And then we got into a field width problem where there was occasionally an anomaly that I had to fix. Now let's go up here to this. Let's see, where was this one? Now I better bring the camera back to me. Format change, address problem. Where is that place that I was all prepared to take you to show you something? Address problem? No, not that one, not that one, not that one. Oh, here it is. Formula breakdown. This one. Yeah, that's the right screen. So this was notation to myself. QBDataBridge formula breakdown, January 2014. So here I'm actually documenting. This is the old format. Now this is one of the times when I had to redesign it. So I was documenting here. This is the old format. So in cell A3, this is the formula in that cell. Now I'm going to switch over to Excel and show you that formula live in an area that I have curated to not have sensitive data. Yes, after double checking, it does not have sensitive data. So I can't show you column K, which is after J, because it's got sensitive data. And we're on the deposit record table tab right now. I can't click bank data tab or final deposit table, or there's another table over here, PDF data. I can't show you those other ones because they expose sensitive information, but here this is not sensitive. Now these columns go all the way out to the right to column CE. So in Excel, it goes from A to Z, and then it goes from AA to AZ, and then BA to BZ, and then CA to CZ. So it goes all the way out on this worksheet to column CE, which is 83 columns of data on this tab within this worksheet, and then column A has this formula in it. Pretty complex. Let's see, can I see this scroll bar right here is showing that we're not actually seeing all of it. It's, let's see, if I go down arrow once, that adds one more, down arrow again, another line. So it's actually 5 rows long for this formula that has, I think it has a few if statements in here and indirects, and here's another if. So it's a pretty complex formula. And I can't, anytime I go to redo it, I can't just sit down and do it. I got to go back and relearn it using my notes. But what it does is it takes the PDF file that comes from the bank that's hundreds of pages long, and it extracts the data. Each page, well, I was going to say each page represents a deposit for a different client. That's not true. The pages don't fit the page size of a PDF file. So they might go a page and a half or a page and a quarter or just a few lines over, and they kind of vary. So it's challenging to pull out the data that I need, put it into an Excel worksheet, and then put it into this Excel worksheet, and then parse it and manipulate it so that the names wind up right when they get all the way into QuickBooks. It works. An incredibly fun, satisfying project, and probably an unusual kind of project for a computer consultant to get involved in. But I think it really went pretty well. Now, is there anything else that I wanted to... Of course, this can go on and on for a long time. I'm 21 minutes. I got to wrap this up. That really gives you the idea. I like to throw in these unusual things that I do from time to time. Certainly not required for being a computer support consultant, but the broader range that you can bring to your clients, the more services you can provide, to me, it's been really a good deal. So I'm going to click back over here and see if no, don't need to do anything else from that. That's going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching. I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.